Commander Jake Harrison stepped off the transport ship onto station with a carrier in his hand. The station was massive, built into an asteroid near the border between and space. It served as neutral ground for the two alien species to meet and trade without conflict. Jake was a human diplomat, sent to help broker peace between the two civilizations that had been on the edge of war for 3 years. The carrier in his hand was small and made of reinforced plastic. Inside, an orange tabby cat named Tiger watched the activity around the station with curious eyes. Jake had brought Tiger with him because the cat had always calmed his nerves during difficult times. He did not expect the cat to cause any problems. He thought Tiger would just stay in his quarters while he worked on the peace talks. As Jake walked through the main corridor of station, heads turned. Alien heads turned. A tall with blue skin and 3 eyes approached Jake with long strides. Its name was Vex, and it was the lead diplomat for the delegation. "What is that?" Vex asked, pointing one of its 4 fingers at the carrier. "This is Tiger," Jake said calmly. "He is my cat, an Earth animal." Vex made a strange sound, something between a laugh and a hiss. Another appeared beside Vex. This one was taller and had darker blue skin, more gathered. They looked at the carrier and began making the same laughing sound. "You bring a useless pet to station," Vex said. "To peace negotiations, you bring a small, fragile creature that cannot even defend itself." Approached the group. Were different from. They were shorter, more muscular, with green skin that had patterns like scales across their bodies. This name was, and he was the military commander of the delegation. "Is that what humans call a pet?" asked, looking at Tiger through the carrier window. "It is tiny, weak. Why would a human warrior bring such a thing to a station full of dangerous species?" "Tiger is not weak," Jake said. He kept his voice steady and calm. "Earth animals are tougher than they look." More joined. Soon there was a small crowd of aliens standing around Jake and Tiger, all of them looking at the cat like it was the most ridiculous thing they had ever seen. "A human and his little pet," one of them said in its own language, but Jake understood the translation through his ear device. How adorable, how pathetic. Jake felt anger rise in his chest, but he pushed it down. This was exactly the kind of situation that had caused problems between humans and other species for centuries. Humans were smaller and weaker than many aliens. Humans lived on a harsh planet. Other species thought humans were fragile and not worth respecting. Jake knew that if he showed anger now, it would only prove their point. "I have walked on more dangerous worlds than you can imagine," Jake said to the crowd. "I have survived things that would kill most of your kind. Tiger comes from Earth, where almost everything is designed to kill you. He has the instincts of a predator that has survived millions of years of evolution. That makes him one of the most dangerous small creatures in the galaxy." The aliens laughed harder. "Come," Vex said to the other. "Let us prepare for the negotiations. The human and his toy can settle into their quarters." Watch Jake for a moment longer. "Your pet will die here if it escapes," he said. "Station is not a safe place for fragile things." The crowd began to break up and walk away, but the insults stayed with Jake. He looked down at Tiger. The cat's green eyes looked up at him through the carrier window. Tiger did not seem bothered by the insults. He seemed calm and patient, the way cats usually were. Jake made his way to his quarters in the human section of the station. The room was small but comfortable. It had a bed, a desk, and a window that looked out at the stars. Jake set the carrier down and opened it. Tiger jumped out and began exploring the room, moving quietly and carefully from object to object. Jake sat on the bed and thought about what the aliens had said. He knew that humans had a reputation for being weak and fragile. It was true that humans were smaller than many alien species. But it was not true that humans were weak. Jake had spent 20 years as a soldier and diplomat. He had seen humans do things that seemed impossible. He had seen humans survive in the hardest conditions on Earth and on other planets. The problem was that most aliens did not understand Earth. They thought Earth was just another planet. They did not understand that Earth was a death world. The planet had deadly animals, harsh weather, diseases, and 1,000 other things that tried to kill you every day. Humans had survived on Earth for millions of years, and that meant they had instincts and abilities that most aliens did not have. There was a small window in Jake's quarters. Tiger jumped up onto the windowsill and looked out at the station. The cat's ears moved back and forth, listening to sounds that Jake could not hear. Tiger's tail swished once, twice, then stopped. The cat sat very still, staring down into the lower sections of the station where the darkness was thick and the sounds were strange. Jake watched his cat. Something about Tiger's behavior was different. The cat looked alert. The cat looked like it was sensing something that Jake could not sense. "What is it, buddy?" Jake asked. Tiger did not respond. He just kept staring down into the dark parts of the station, his ears moving, his eyes fixed on something in the distance. Jake stood up and walked to the window. He looked down, but he saw nothing. The lower sections of the station were mostly maintenance tunnels and storage areas. Not many beings went down there, but there was something in those tunnels. Jake could feel it now. A cold feeling that moved down his spine. The next morning, Jake went to meet with station commander. Was a human like Jake, a career officer who had been stationed on for 5 years. His office was on the upper level of the station, away from the dark tunnels below. "I want to ask you about the lower sections," Jake said as he sat across from his desk. "Tiger seemed alert about something down there last night. I felt it too." His face became serious. He stood up and walked to a cabinet on the wall. He pulled out a file and set it on the desk between them. "We have had a problem," said. "About 2 weeks ago, a ship came through this sector. It was damaged and had to make an emergency landing near the outer section of the station. The crew said they had been transporting research specimens to a scientific station. One of the specimens escaped during the landing." "What kind of specimen?" Jake asked. Said, "A creature native to the system. The crew tried to recapture it, but it killed 2 of them before it got into the maintenance tunnels below the station. It has been loose down there ever since." Jake felt his stomach drop. He knew what it was. He had read about them in mission briefings. They were massive creatures, nearly 3 meters long, with scales that were harder than most metals. They had teeth that dripped with venom that could melt through protective gear. They were apex predators on their home world, and they were one of the most dangerous creatures in the known galaxy. "Why wasn't I told?" Jake asked. "Because the situation is under control," said. "The beast is confined to the lower tunnels. We have sealed off most of the access points. The creature cannot reach the main sections where the negotiations are happening. The and are not even aware of the problem. I kept it quiet to avoid upsetting the peace talks." "That was a mistake," Jake said. "If either delegation finds out that you hid this from them, it will damage trust in the negotiations." "I know," said, "but what choice did I have? If I told them about they would blame each other. They would think one side had brought it here as a trap. The peace talks would collapse before they even started." Jake understood thinking, but he knew it was wrong. Hiding information like this always caused problems in the end. "Has anyone gone into the tunnels since the creature escaped?" Jake asked. "Only maintenance crews," said, "and we have not had any more deaths. The creature seems to be staying in the deepest sections, away from the main areas." But at that exact moment, something was happening in the lower tunnels that did not know about yet. A young engineer named had been sent into the maintenance tunnels to repair a water system that had been damaged. Was skilled and had done this job many times before. Did not know about had not told the delegations about the beast, which meant he had not told them about the danger. Was working on a pipe joint when he heard something. It was a sound like nothing he had ever heard before. It was a low growl mixed with a hiss. Turned around. In the darkness of the tunnel, 2 large eyes caught the light from his work lamp. The eyes were yellow and round and filled with hunger. Saw scales, saw teeth, saw. Ran, he moved fast through the tunnels, his feet pounding on the metal grating. Behind him, the moved faster. The creature was huge and powerful, built for hunting. The creature was built for killing. Tried to climb up a ladder to reach a higher level. His hands were shaking. He was only halfway up when the tail swept through the air. The tail hit his leg, fell, he hit the ground hard. Pain shot through his body. The moved closer, its jaws opened, venom dripped from its fangs. Screamed, but no one heard him. The tunnels were sealed off. His scream echoed through the metal corridors and then died in the darkness. By the time station commander received the emergency alert, was already gone. The security systems showed that life signs had disappeared. The last reading came from deep in the maintenance tunnels. His face went pale. He immediately sent security teams to search the tunnels. He also made a decision. He had to tell the and what was happening. If he did not tell them, more people would die. The delegations were called to an emergency meeting in the central conference room. When Vex and arrived, their faces showed anger and suspicion immediately. Vex said, his 3 eyes flashing with rage. A deadly creature has been loose on this station for 2 weeks, and you did not think to inform us. We have it contained, said, but his voice was weak. Contained, said. You just lost one of my engineers. You have not contained anything. Jake was in his quarters when security teams moved into the maintenance tunnels below. He watched on the monitor as security officers in heavy armor moved through the dark corridors. They were looking for answers. The security teams found in the lower tunnels, but they found only his suit and armor. They had taken everything else. This was when Vex and made their decision. They told station commander that the 2 delegations would not participate in any rescue or hunting operation. They said that was not their problem. They said the same thing. If the station could not protect them, then they would not be part of any plan to hunt the creature. Both delegations moved to the most secure sections of the station and demanded that human security teams handle the beast alone. Jake was frustrated. He knew that both delegations had military experience with dangerous creatures. He knew they had weapons and training that could help, but they refused to help because they saw this as beneath them. They saw this as a human problem. Tiger moved around the quarters in a way that reminded Jake of a soldier preparing for combat. The cat would walk back and forth. The cat would pause at the window. The cat would look toward the ventilation shaft that led down into the maintenance tunnels. Tiger was not sleeping. Tiger was not resting. Tiger was preparing for something. You know something, Jake said to Tiger. You know this is not over. Tiger looked at Jake and made a small sound, not quite a meow, but not quite silent either. It was a sound that seemed to mean agreement. Jake made a decision that surprised even himself. He knew he should stay in his quarters. He knew he should let the security teams handle the problem. But he could not do that. He could feel the danger the way Tiger could feel it. He could sense that was moving closer to the main sections of the station. Jake dressed in tactical gear. He put on a suit that was lighter than the heavy armor the security teams wore, but it would protect him if he needed protection. He took a weapon from his personal equipment. Then he looked at Tiger. You want to come? Jake asked. Tiger jumped down from the bed and walked to the door. Jake opened the door and moved into the corridor. Tiger followed him. The cat stayed low to the ground, moving with the kind of silence that only a predator could achieve. Together, they made their way to the maintenance access point. The security teams had already moved deeper into the tunnels, but Jake could go where they could not go. Jake was smaller and faster. As Jake descended into the darkness, he activated his helmet light. The beam cut through the black and showed him the metal corridors below. Water dripped from broken pipes. The air smelled like rust and something else, something bitter and wrong. That was the smell of venom. Tiger moved ahead of Jake. The cat's eyes were better in the darkness than Jake's were. The cat could see things that the helmet light could not reveal. Tiger led Jake down corridor after corridor, going deeper and deeper into the station's structure. Then Tiger stopped. The cat's body went rigid. Tiger was looking at a sealed door. The door was massive and made of thick metal. There were scratch marks on the door. The marks were deep and long, like something had tried to claw its way through. The venom smell was very strong here. This was the den. Jake raised his weapon. His hand was steady, but his heart was pounding. He knew what was behind that door. He knew the danger was real. Tiger turned and looked up at Jake. The cat made a sound again, the same small sound as before. It was a sound that meant readiness. It was a sound that meant the cat was ready to fight. Jake reached for the door control, but before he could touch it, the door burst open. It was massive. It was 3 meters long, covered in scales that looked like polished metal, and it had 4 legs that moved with terrible grace. The creature's jaws opened, and venom began to drip from teeth the size of human fingers. The creature's yellow eyes fixed on Jake and Tiger. They hissed, a sound that echoed through the tunnels like a scream. And then Tiger moved. The cat did not hesitate. The cat did not run. Tiger launched himself directly at the cat was tiny compared to the massive predator, but Tiger moved with speed that was almost impossible to follow. Tiger moved like pure instinct, like the product of millions of years of Earth evolution refined into a single living weapon. Jake watched as Tiger clawed at the face. The cat struck at the beast's eyes, making the creature rear back and hiss in anger. They tried to bite Tiger, but the cat was already somewhere else, already moving to the next attack. They swung one of its massive claws at Tiger. The claw whistled through the air, missing the cat by a fraction of a second. The claw hit the metal wall of the tunnel and left a deep gouge in the metal. Tiger climbed along this body, using the scales like steps. The cat reached the creature's shoulder and struck at the sensitive area where the beast's neck met its body. The shrieked and thrashed, trying to throw Tiger off. But Tiger would not let go. The cat dug in with all 4 sets of claws. The cat bit at the beast's scaled skin. The moved backward, slamming its body against the tunnel walls in an attempt to crush the small creature riding its back. Jake wanted to shoot, but the and Tiger were moving too fast. Jake could not get a clear shot without hitting Tiger. The twisted its head backward and snapped at Tiger. This time the creature was faster. The jaws closed on Tiger's hind leg. Jake saw his cat cry out in pain. But instead of retreating, Tiger pulled forward with all his strength. The cat tore himself away from the jaws, leaving behind some fur and a small trail of blood. Tiger dropped to the ground and moved faster, striking at the creature's face again and again. The was confused. No prey had ever fought back like this. No prey had ever been so fast. No prey made a mistake. The creature was angry and in pain. The creature was not thinking clearly anymore. The reared up on its hind legs to gain height for a powerful strike. As it did, the creature twisted its head to follow Tiger's movement. Tiger saw the opening. The cat moved fast, faster than even the could react. Tiger ran up the creature's chest and struck directly at the beast's eye with all the force in his small body. His claws sank deep into the soft tissue. The screamed. The creature lost its balance on its hind legs. The fell backward, and as it fell, the creature's body twisted against the narrow tunnel walls. The creature tried to catch itself, but Tiger was still attacking, still striking, still pushing the beast backward. The lost its grip on the tunnel floor. The creature went down hard, crashing into the metal grating with tremendous force. The impact knocked the air from the beast's lungs. The creature lay on its side, gasping. Tiger did not give the time to recover. Tiger jumped onto the creature's body and struck at the soft area beneath the beast's jaw. Tiger struck hard and fast, using every bit of speed and strength the small cat possessed. The thrashed one final time. The creature's body convulsed. The beast's venom sacs, which were located in the creature's throat and jaw, began to leak. The creature had damaged them during its thrashing against the tunnel walls. The venom that was meant to kill prey was now poisoning the predator itself. This breathing became shallow. The creature's yellow eyes began to lose their light. The beast that had killed and terrorized the station lay dying on the cold metal floor of its own den. Tiger stepped back. The cat was covered in blue blood and venom. The cat's left hind leg was bleeding where the jaws had caught it. But Tiger was alive. Tiger was standing. Jake approached his cat slowly. Tiger turned and looked at Jake. The cat's green eyes met Jake's. For a moment, neither of them moved. "You did it," Jake said softly. "You actually did it." Tiger limped over to Jake and rubbed against his leg. The cat made a small sound, almost like a purr, but quieter, like the cat was exhausted. Jake scooped Tiger up carefully, avoiding the wounds. He held his cat close to his chest. Then he activated his communication device. "Station Commander," Jake said, "Thee is dead. It is down in the lower tunnels, sealed den, Section 7. There was a long pause before responded. How did you kill it?" "Tiger killed it," Jake said. "My cat killed the—" Another pause. This time Jake could hear voices in the background, was telling other people what Jake had just said. The response was confusion. There were questions. There was disbelief. "I am sending medical teams to your location," finally said. "Stay put." Jake made his way back through the tunnels, carrying Tiger. As he walked, he could hear emergency signals going off throughout the station. The security teams had detected this death. The station's automatic systems had confirmed it. The massive threat that had hung over station for 2 weeks was suddenly gone. By the time Jake reached the upper sections of the station, word had spread everywhere. Humans and all stopped and stared at him as he walked through the corridors with Tiger in his arms. The small orange cat was covered in battle damage but was very much alive. Medical teams took Tiger to the station's medical bay. The doctors were surprised to find that the cat had nothing but surface wounds. The venom had not penetrated deeply. Tiger would recover. The cat would be fine. But the real change happened in the conference room. Vex and all the members of both delegations gathered to hear what had happened. Jake presented the security footage from the maintenance tunnels. The footage showed Tiger fighting the footage showed the small cat doing what soldiers and weapons had not been able to do. The footage showed Tiger defeating the monster. The aliens watched in complete silence. "This is impossible," Vex said when the footage ended. "That creature was an apex predator. That creature was designed by evolution to be a perfect killing machine. How could a small cat from a backwater planet defeat such a thing?" "Because Earth is a harder world than you know," Jake said. "Everything on Earth fights to survive. Everything on Earth has learned to be fast, clever, and brutal. Tiger is not just a pet. Tiger is a product of millions of years on a death world. Tiger has instincts that are sharper than any tool you could create." Stood up and approached Jake. The commander looked at Tiger, who was now bandaged and resting on a medical bed, reached out slowly and carefully. Jake tensed, but then Tiger came forward and allowed to touch him. "I was wrong," said. "We were all wrong. We mocked you and your cat. We thought you weak. We thought humans were fragile." The commander looked at Jake. "You are not fragile. Your world is not soft. Your pet is a warrior." Vex stepped forward next. "The delegation offers its apologies. We judged your species by our own measures. We assumed we understood your capabilities. We were wrong. The human species is worthy of our respect." The peace treaty was finalized on a beautiful morning at station. Sunlight from the distant star fell through the observation windows and lit up the conference room where Vex and Jake sat at a long table. Between them were documents in 3 languages, each one saying the same thing. The and humans were now united. They would trade. They would defend each other. They would no longer be enemies. But the most important ceremony was not the signing of the treaty. Station commander had organized a formal honor assembly in the main hall of station. Representatives from all 3 species were present. Humans stood next to who stood next to. The barrier that had existed between them only weeks ago had been broken down by one small orange cat. Tiger was brought into the hall on a special platform. The cat was wearing a medal that had been specially created by the delegation. The medal was gold and showed the image of on one side and a cat on the other side. Underneath was written in 3 languages, "Hero of Station." Jake walked beside the platform as Tiger was presented to the assembly. The crowd was silent at first. Then slowly the humans began to clap. Then they began to make a sound like a low rumble that was their way of showing respect. Then they did the same. The sound filled the entire hall. Vex stepped forward and spoke first. The diplomat's 3 eyes focused on Tiger with what looked like genuine respect. "We have learned a great lesson," Vex said. "We thought we understood the universe. We thought we understood the limits of different species. But we were taught by this small creature that the universe is far stranger and more wonderful than we believed. Tiger has shown us that survival is not always about size or strength. Tiger has shown us that courage matters. Tiger has shown us that a creature from any world, no matter how small, can be a true warrior." Stepped forward next. The commander bowed to Tiger, and the cat seemed to understand that this was a gesture of honor. "My engineers and soldiers have learned from Tiger," said. "We learned that the best warrior is not always the one with the most armor or the biggest weapon. The best warrior is the one with the will to survive and the speed to adapt. Humans have survived on a world that tries to kill them every day. That means humans understand something that safer worlds do not understand. That means humans have value that we never saw before." Jake stepped forward to speak, but first he picked Tiger up and held the cat in his arms. The small orange cat looked out at the assembled crowd with the kind of calm that only a predator could have. "Tiger did not know he was fighting an impossible battle," Jake said. "Tiger did not know that everyone expected him to fail. Tiger did not know that he was small compared to his enemy. Tiger only knew that there was a threat. Tiger only knew that he needed to fight, and Tiger only knew that giving up was not an option." Jake looked around at the faces of all 3 species. "That is what humans do," Jake continued. "Humans come from a world where the odds are always against us. Humans come from a world where something is always trying to kill us. Humans have learned to survive in spite of everything. We have learned to be clever. We have learned to be fast. We have learned to never give up. That is what makes humans worth respecting. That is what makes humans valuable to the galaxy. We do not come from a soft world. We come from a hard world. And that makes all the difference." The applause came again. This time it was louder. The rumbling grew stronger. The sounds became a rhythmic chant. After the ceremony ended, things changed quickly on station. The peace treaty moved from words on paper to real agreements and real changes. Trade routes were established between space and space that went through human territory. Military alliances were formed. Scientists from all three species began sharing information. But more than that, respect was established. They began to understand that humans were not weak. They began to understand that humans were not just intelligent, but also cunning and adaptable. And both species began to tell the story of Tiger to every being they encountered. The story spread quickly through the galaxy. Other species heard about the small cat from Earth that had defeated a. Other species heard about humans and their fierce loyalty to each other and even to animals. Other species began to wonder if maybe they had underestimated humanity as well. On the day that Jake was preparing to leave station, both Vex and came to see him off. They brought gifts. Vex brought a weapon that could cut through almost any material, brought a suit of armor that was made to be light but extremely strong. "These are not charity," said. "These are the weapons and armor of warriors who have earned respect. We are giving them to you because you have proven yourself and your species worthy." But Jake did not accept the gifts for himself. He took them, but he gave them to station commander to distribute to the human security forces on the station. "I do not need these," Jake said. "I have Tiger. Tiger is all the weapon I need." Tiger was in his carrier, ready for transport back to human space. The cat looked out at Vex and with calm eyes. The cat had no idea that he had changed the course of galactic history. The cat did not understand that he had shifted the balance of power in this region of space. Tiger was just a cat who had done what cats do when something threatened what belonged to the cat. Jake carried the carrier to the transport ship. As the ship rose away from station, he looked down at Tiger. "You know what you did down there?" Jake asked the cat. Tiger made his small purring sound. "You proved something that humans have always known," Jake said. "You proved that it does not matter how small you are. It does not matter how weak others think you are. If you have courage and skill and the will to survive, you can defeat anything. You can defeat any enemy. You can change any situation. You can make the whole galaxy respect you." Tiger purred louder. As the transport ship jumped to hyperspace, Jake looked back one last time at station. Down below in the maintenance tunnels, this body had been removed. The tunnels had been sealed. The danger had passed. But the memory of what happened there would not pass. The memory would remain for generations. Species across the galaxy would tell the story of how a human and his cat had brought peace to a war-torn station. Species would tell the story of how courage and instinct could overcome any obstacle. And somewhere in the galaxy, other humans would hear the story and smile. Other humans would understand what the story really meant. It meant that humanity was no longer a species that other beings looked down on. It meant that humans had proven themselves worthy of respect. And it all happened because one human decided to bring his cat to a space station where beings laughed at him. The universe had learned an important lesson. Never underestimate a creature from a death world. Never assume that size and strength determine victory. Never mock what you do not understand. And most of all, never separate a human from their cat, because on that day, you might face something you cannot defeat. Tiger looked out the window of the transport ship and watched the stars go by. The cat was content. The cat had done what needed to be done. The cat had protected what was his, and now the cat was going home. Jake smiled and scratched Tiger behind the ears. The small orange tabby had changed history. The small orange tabby had brought peace to an entire region of space. And nobody was laughing anymore. Jake felt something shift in that room. It was not just about it was about everything. The respect that the end had not given humans suddenly became real. The condescension disappeared. The mockery ended. Tiger recovered quickly. The cat's wounds healed within a few days. By the end of the week, Tiger was back to normal, moving around the station like he owned the place. And for the first time in the peace negotiations, the end began talking seriously about working together. They began discussing trade agreements and mutual defense pacts. They began discussing the possibility of these three species joining together against the common threats that existed in the galaxy. All because a human had brought his cat to a space station. All because no one had understood what a creature from a death world could do. Had ever been so willing to take damage to inflict more damage on the predator. This small creature was not prey. This small creature was a predator itself. The fight went on for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. Tiger struck at the weak points in this defense. The cat struck at the eyes. The cat struck at the soft tissues inside the jaws. The cat struck at every place where the creature was not completely protected by scales. And they grew more desperate. The creature hissed and snapped and tried everything it could to end the threat. But Tiger was relentless. Tiger was driven by the instinct of a creature that understood death and survival in a way that most beings did not. Jake watched the situation getting worse. They began accusing each other of bringing them to the station as part of some plot. They began raising their voices. The peace talks that had barely started were now in serious danger. Back in the maintenance tunnels, the moved deeper into its den. The creature was satisfied with its hunt. The creature was full, but the was intelligent. It was a predator that understood territory and threat. It had sensed more beings in the upper sections of the station. The creature knew there were more to hunt if it decided to move closer to the light. In his quarters, Tiger moved away from the window. The cat's ears were flat against its head. The cat's fur was standing up along its spine. Tiger walked to Jake's bed and jumped up beside where Jake was sitting. The cat curled into a tight ball, but it did not relax. Tiger was ready. Tiger was waiting. The cat knew that something was coming. And deep in the darkness below, the waited too. He had felt that feeling before. It was the feeling of danger. Jake looked back at Tiger. The cat was perfectly still now, completely focused on something far below. Tiger's claws were out, digging into the windowsill. The cat was ready for something. The cat was prepared for a threat. Jake decided he would ask the station commander about the lower tunnels. He would ask if there was anything he needed to know about station. But for now, he just let Tiger watch. He let the cat stay on the windowsill, alert and ready, while the stars shone in the darkness beyond the glass.